Hey guys, in this section we'll solve the question number 86. So if you see, this is like from one pod to another pod we have to ping, and we need to check whether it is reaching or not. So basically it's a debugging question. For that we need an environment which has broken already. And let's get started. So in our session, like we don't, since we are using killer coda, we are not having that kind of environment which is broken, so we need to first break it and then we need to fix it. So yeah, let's see how it is. As I will use the same things like how I did it for the question number 85. First I will create the namespace. They ask that pod A to belong for front end and pod B belong to backend, and then we need to make in such a way that pod A doesn't reach to pod. So yes, and if I see like this created, and now I'll create a namespace called backend, and I need to create a pod. You can use -f and help, or I just have the command handy with me. I'll just use it. So it's very easy. By now you would have known like how we can create the pod. So I'm just creating it in the front end namespace, and similarly I'm also creating a backend pod for the that is same Nginx image and by giving it as labels like app backend app. Now we need to create a service for the backend. I'll tell you why. So what I'm planning is to ping the pod B, ping the pod B, which is in the backend from the pod A, which is in the front end. And how I'm going to ping is using the service I'm going to ping. Okay. So for that, first I'll be creating a service. We can create using like create service hyphen and backend, and I can give the type of service I want, and I can give the name like service B, and yeah, that's pretty much, I guess. And also yes, we need to mention the port. We can mention it. I can mention like 8080. So that's how I mention. And after creating the service, I need to basically use this particular service and ping the pod B from pod A. But not now, because if you see, I just created the service, but I did not set the labels right. So if you see like get service, okay, it can't recognize, so it will be like hyphen backend and service B hyphen O and YAML. So here if you see clearly, the selector is service B, but actually the selector has to be same as that of a label which is mentioned in this container. So since we have created a service for this one intentionally, but actually the labels are not matching, right? So this has this label, the container will have this label, whereas the service is having different selector. But actually in order to send the traffic from the service to this pod, the label and selectors should be matching from pod and service accordingly. So now what we'll do, we'll keep it as it is. We don't set any labels and all. Okay. And we will try to ping the backend from the front end pod. So how can you do that? You can just do like so. Okay, yeah. One more thing is they asked to review the network policies also, right? So let's do one thing. Let's break another level of environment using the network policies. I just opened a Kubernetes documentation here, and if you search for deny something, so deny all ingress traffic. So I'll just copy this and you can write here like using a cat command. I think it is eof k apply hyphen f. I think I already have it here sometime. So yeah, I'll just remove the space and I'll just paste this and I think I need to remove that thing here. So I think this is pretty much. Now if you see like get network policies has to work, right? Hmm, I'll search for it. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Basically, I'm just searching like how we can get it. Uh, okay. Yeah, it's just as simple as it is. So it's like we have created for by selecting like all the pods. Empty means it is for all the pods, and we just return the policy types, but we didn't define it. So that means by default it denies. Okay, don't consider the name. It doesn't deny by the name. Okay, so it denies because the policy types are mentioned, but we didn't implement them. And so for now, the network policy we will see in the next sections. But actually, what does this mean is ingress policy is nothing but the traffic which it allows to come inside, and egress means the traffic which it allows to go outside. Currently, we are doing a denial, ingress, and egress for all the pods. Pod selector empty means deny for, I mean, it's for all the pods. And this means we didn't implement this, so this means deny. So currently it is denying for all the pods, both the ingress and egress. That means incoming and outgoing traffics are blocked. Now what I'll do, so coming back to our things, here I have a service I created generally for the backend only. Since I created for the backend namespace and I'm expecting that I will ping backend pod via this service, this backend service. I'll just open a new tab. What you can do is you can exec into the front end, which if you want you have to use namespace front end, and the pod it has to come, but I'm not sure. So yeah, I think the pod name pod a, of course, and I am going to do a curl command hyphen m3. That means within 3 seconds only I'll wait. Okay. And how do you ping using like a total name? So if you see, this is like a total name we can use for the service. Okay. So I have created a service called service B. So I'll just ping that service using this thing. Fully qualified domain name. So if this is called like fully qualified domain name. This is the service name and this is the namespace. This service belongs to this namespace, right? So that's why we mentioned this, and svc.cluster.local is a common thing, and I'm just pinging like using this curl command. And when I do this, so why do you can just remove this also, but it's like continuously it will try, right? I don't want that. I'll just wait for 3 seconds, and it's like giving that we cannot reach the server. So it means that the service is not forwarding the traffic to the pod. One big reason is the labels did not match. Here the labels are service B, and here the label is app backend. So what I will do, I'll use a set command, set selector command. So you can do like set selector and in the namespace of backend for the service, and the service name is service B. So that way you can set. So let me just finish it, and I want to set the selector of this thing. That's pretty much, and if you again verify it, you can see now the selector is turned to backend app from service B because I have set. Now if you see, you can verify, okay, of before these things, before I set it, you can verify it like get endpoints. So I'll just use like get endpoints in this namespace of backend for the service. So if you see correctly, we have endpoint pointing to that pod. How do I know that? If you see like get pod hyphen n backend, uh, yeah. So I just use hyphen o wide. So if you see, this is the IP the service is pointing to. So it says that this endpoint I'm referring. But again, if you do like set selector something like all, which doesn't match with actual like label of the pod, and if you do the endpoints, it doesn't show. That means it couldn't recognize the pod with that label, so it doesn't send the traffic to that IP. Let's set it back to the correct label. So now if you again check, I hope you got it right. So now let's try this curl command so that it might ping the backend pod using this service. From the front end pod, we are trying to ping this service so that service will navigate the traffic to the pod. So I'll do it. Yeah, I got it. So if you see here, pod selector is none, and we have not applied this. Seems like this doesn't apply here. That's why I'm able to ping it properly and I'm able to get it. So that's how it works. That's how you will debug the service related. And if there is any issues, right, one thing you can do is you can just go into that network policy, make it allow for all the pods, and then you can ping that particular pod from another pod. Okay, so let's say you can also edit a network policy this way. Okay, so I'll just show you like a brief thing. We will see network policies in the next sections, but just to give you an idea. So what is this about? The pod selector, it is actually empty previously. That means it is applied to all the pods. But if you see here, the pod selector is especially for the backend, and the policy type is ingress. That means the uh, backend pod is allowing the network inside it, and ingress we are not leaving it as it is. We are writing a rule like ingress from the namespace match labels front end team. So that means I should be matching my labels, like whatever I create the front end or any other pod, that label of that pod from which I'm getting the request, that namespace selector labels has to match with this thing. Then only it allows the traffic. Okay, so this is one rule we can write. And if you again use like get network policy, okay, I don't know why it is not able to create. I think this is only applied for the backend. Right. So then I have to use a backend namespace, right? So this is what it is. Previously, let's take it has applied to the backend only. That's why like because this is a deny, right? Deny means we are expecting that request has to not go. So let me do one thing. I'll just create a namespace here, and I'll do one thing. I'll get it, and here what I'll do, I'll just remove, delete. How do I delete this? Network policies, network policy, I guess, hyphen n backend. I want to delete for this, and I have block all. Now what I'll do, I'll try to ping this thing. So if you see now, connection is timeout because we have applied our network policy on this backend namespace, right? Previously it was on the on the default namespace. That's why it didn't apply for our backend pod. So if I created this network policy on this backend namespace, it is like blocking all the pods, ingress and egress traffic. That means incoming and outgoing traffic on this namespace. So that's why the backend pod couldn't receive the request from the front end pod. To be literal, it didn't receive from the service as well. That's why we are getting timeout issue. And when I try to create a network policy, not this. like this. So this policy says that the backend app, which is in the namespace backend, can allow the incoming traffic from the namespace which has the labels of this. So I'll just create it and I'll try to ping it. Still it is connection timeout. Now what I will do is, I think I should be having the front end pod with the matching label of this thing, right? So yeah, so if you see, like, these are the things which we will do debugging here. And if I go like this and do like ingress, allow, deny, all these things are there, allow all ingress traffic is also there. And you can go through this documentation, it's pretty much good. So this is like, add the labels under this thing. So what I'll do, I'll just label my front end using this namespace. So label namespace front end using the team. Yeah, I can write it team and equals to front end. So if I will label it, this is the first time I'm labeling a namespace actually. That's why I got confused. Still I'm getting issue. Hmm. So but actually I allowed the traffic, right? Hmm. Let me do one thing. If you see, the app and all were also fine. I think it took some time to apply. So yeah, that's how you will do. So since our namespace front end is having this particular label and it is matching with that, so it allowed the traffic from that particular pod only. Still, if you want to verify, you can go ahead by creating a pod in the front end namespace without this matching label, and you can try to ping your backend from that front end. Doesn't allow, basically it gives a connection timeout. So yeah, that's how I have solved this question number 86. Thank you so much. Bye bye.